Story 1. Night shift at the bar by the highway. My name is Lyra. I work nights at a roadside bar called the Hollow Elk, tucked just outside the small town of North Vale, deep in the Pacific Northwest. It's the kind of place that disappears into the fog when you drive past half-lit neon sign, sagging porch, jukebox full of old rock ballads, and the faint, constant scent of wet pine. Most of our regulars are truckers, or tired locals, looking to drown a quiet kind of sadness. It's not glamorous, but I've always liked it. Weeknights are slow, and I usually work the bar alone. No barback, no bouncer, just me, the hum of the fridge, and the occasional whisper of tires on the wet road outside. That particular Tuesday night was cold. The rain hadn't stopped since sundown, and it was creeping into my bones, despite the heater wheezing behind me. It was nearly 1:30 in the morning when the door opened. He walked in like he'd done it 1,000 times before. No hesitation, just a slow, confident stride across the creaky floorboards. He didn't belong here. That much was obvious. He looked to be in his late 40s stall, clean-shaven, sharp. He wore a black turtleneck beneath a tailored trench coat, both completely dry despite the weather. His shoes gleamed. Even his posture seemed precise, like someone who spent more time in boardrooms than bars. He sat down without a word and scanned the bottles behind me. "Whiskey," he said. "Top shelf. Neat." His voice was calm, smooth. I poured him a Glencairn of Glenlivet and slid it across the counter. He took it with a nod, then looked at me. "Do you like working here?" The question wasn't strange, but the way he asked it like he was already expecting my answer made something uneasy curl in my stomach. "I do," I said, smiling. "It's quiet, predictable." He chuckled softly, almost kindly. "That's rare these days." We talked. Nothing flirtatious, nothing overtly strange. He asked about the bar, the town, whether I'd lived here long. I answered, trying not to let my curiosity show. There was something magnetic about Jimenez, a polish that didn't match the grime of the place. Then, out of nowhere, he asked, "Have you ever thought about doing something bigger?" I laughed, trying to keep it light. "Sure. Who hasn't?" He smiled again, but this time it didn't reach his eyes. He looked disappointed, as if I'd given the wrong answer. Then he asked what time my shift ended. That caught me off guard. Up until that point, nothing about. A week passed. The memory of the man in black lingered, like a splinter I couldn't dig out. I told myself it was nothing, just a weird conversation with an odd customer. Maybe he was just lonely. Maybe he really did just want a drink. But I kept thinking about how he said my name, how clean he was, how confident, like he was rehearsed. It was a Wednesday night when he came back. But this time, he wasn't alone. The bell above the door jingled around midnight. I looked up and froze. It was him, same posture, same coat, and with him, a woman I'd never seen before. She looked like someone playing dress-up, maybe mid-30s, maybe older, it was hard to tell. She wore a red leather jacket, short skirt, high boots, stylish, but not in a natural way. More like someone trying very hard to pass as younger, cooler, fun. But there was something off about her. Her movements were too smooth, her smile too wide. They walked straight to the bar. I set down 2 napkins, and before I could even greet them, the woman leaned in close. "You're so pretty," she said, brushing her fingers lightly across my forearm. Her touch lingered a second too long. Her eyes never blinked. I forced a polite laugh. "Thanks. What can I get you?" She didn't order right away. Neither of them did. Instead, she asked how long I'd been working here, if I liked it, if I was from North Vale. All in this syrupy, overly cheerful tone. I answered in short, clipped replies, keeping it professional, but every hair on the back of my neck was standing up. The man stayed silent this time, just watched me, sipping from the glass of bourbon I eventually poured him. Then the woman said something strange. "I run a private club," she whispered, as if it were a secret. "Very exclusive. Always looking for fresh faces for our events. Fun, safe, high-paying." She said it like it was the best-kept secret in the world. Her smile never changed. Her gaze never wavered. $10,000 for one weekend, she said, as if offering me a gift. I laughed. After they left, I couldn't stop thinking about them. That weird proposal. The way the woman touched me. The way he just sat there, silent, watching. I told my manager, Aaron, about it the next day. He brushed it off at first. Just weird customers. Being weird. But when I described them in more detail, the offer, the way they reacted when I said no, he paused. "I live 15 minutes away," he said finally. "If anything like that happens again, text me. Doesn't matter the time." That helped. A little. We also checked the security footage. Both of them showed up clearly, but their license plate was unreadable. The rear camera had picked up a partial view of the car, but nothing identifying. They hadn't technically done anything illegal, so I had nothing to give to the cops. Just a story that felt unfinished. So I tried to let it go. I told myself I was overthinking it, that I'd been freaked out by their weird energy and nothing else. That was until 3 nights later. It was close to 2:00 a.m. The rain hadn't let up all week. I'd already stacked the chairs and was wiping down the counter, debating whether to close up early, when I saw something across the street. A car, parked just on the edge of the lot. Lights off. No movement. Just sitting there. At first I thought maybe someone had fallen asleep behind the wheel. But as I moved behind the bar to get a better angle, I felt that same static creep along my skin. Like being watched. It hit me fast, almost like nausea. I squinted through the glass. Couldn't see the plate. Couldn't see the driver. But I knew it was them. Trying to stay calm, I locked up, grabbed my keys, and made a beeline for my car. Every shadow felt too long. Every sound too sharp. I kept expecting someone to step out from behind the dumpster, or from the edge of the woods behind the bar. I got in, locked the doors, and started the engine. I didn't even check my mirrors at first, I just wanted to be moving. But by the time I reached the first intersection, I glanced up. The car was behind me. Not tailgating, not speeding, just following perfectly spaced, like whoever was driving had practiced. It had been nearly a week since the car chased me, since I pulled into the police lot and watched it vanish into the night. I tried to convince myself it was over, that maybe they'd given up, but part of me knew better. It was a Monday, dead quiet, like most weeknights. Cold rain whispered against the windows. I was alone again, wiping down the bar, just killing time until closing. It was almost midnight when the front door creaked open. I looked up, heart already dropping. It was her, the woman in red. Same jacket, same fake smile. Same slow, deliberate steps as she approached the bar, like she already knew she'd unsettled me. I kept my expression neutral, and, as casually as I could, slipped my phone out of my back pocket beneath the counter. I sent Aaron a quick text. "She's back." When I looked up again, she was seated, both hands folded neatly on the counter. "Thought I'd check on you," she said sweetly, like she was an old friend. I didn't answer. I just stared. "We're about to close," I said coldly. "You'll need to leave soon." She pouted, exaggerated, and theatrical. "Just one old-fashioned? That's all." I hesitated. Every part of me screamed to get her out. But part of me thought, maybe I could stall her until Aaron showed up. So I turned around and began to mix the drink slowly. And then I heard it. The click of the front door. I spun around. She was gone. Gone. I rushed to the window. Nothing. But then headlights. A black van idling just outside. No logo. No plates I could see. Just sitting there, engine rumbling. I stepped back from the glass, heart thundering, and locked the front door. That's when I heard the back. A rattling sound. Metal on metal, like someone trying to force the rear entrance. They were trying to box me in. I grabbed the heaviest thing I could, a steel cocktail shaker, and backed into the corner. Phone already in hand as I dialed 911. The dispatcher's voice barely registered. All I could focus on was the sound at the back door fists. Story 2. The cemetery shift at Pinewood Station. My name is Joel, and until recently, I worked nights at a 24-hour gas station called Pine Hollow Station, just outside a dying town in northern Idaho. The place sat right off Highway 89, sandwiched between endless stretches of pine forest and fog. Most nights were uneventful. A few long-haul truckers stopped in for coffee, maybe a local with a late shift, but after midnight, silence. The kind that makes you hear your own breath. That night was no different at first. It was around 2:30 a.m., and I just finished restocking the drinks cooler. I stepped outside to catch some air. The cold bit through my uniform. The lot was empty. The only sound was the faint buzzing of the flickering neon open sign. That's when I saw him. At first, I thought I was seeing things. I blinked hard, but no, someone was standing behind pump 3, half-shadowed in the mist. He wore a deep red hoodie, hood pulled low, hands buried in his pockets. There wasn't a single car around, and he didn't look like he was heading to the station. He was just there, still, watching. Something about the way he stood put me on edge. His body kept shifting slightly, moving in these slow circles, like he couldn't decide whether to approach or retreat. I pretended not to notice and went back inside, locking the door behind me out of habit. I watched him through the window while pretending to sweep. He didn't move for almost a full minute. Then, without warning, he walked straight toward the entrance, slow at first. Then suddenly, pushing the door open like he'd made up his mind in one snap decision. He didn't say anything right away, just stood at the counter, breathing hard, eyes scanning the shelves behind me. Then he spoke. His voice was low, rushed. "My car broke down, just past the pumps. I need a jump, or maybe a little gas to get to the next town." I blinked. The words sounded rehearsed, like he'd practiced them in front of a mirror. There was no car out there. I'd have seen it. Still, I played along. "I can call a tow truck if you want." "No," he said immediately. "Too fast." He shook his head. "Just need a flashlight, maybe some help looking under the hood." I knew something was off, not just because of what he was saying, but how he was watching me. Studying my reactions, I asked him where the car was parked. He pointed at the security monitor above me. "Out there." I turned to look, and to my surprise, there was a car now. A beat-up black sedan, parked just beyond the edge of the lot. But I'd just been outside, and it wasn't there. Then I noticed something else. Near the back of the sedan, barely visible in the grainy monitor, something moved. Not someone standing, someone crouching, just out of view. The second I spotted that movement near the back of the car, that crouching figure, my blood went cold. It wasn't just the guy in the red hoodie. He wasn't alone. I turned back to him slowly, keeping my face neutral. He was still staring at me, like he was waiting for something, like he was testing how I'd react. I forced a friendly smile. "Sure, I'll grab a flashlight. Give me a sec." I turned toward the back office and stepped out of his line of sight. That's when I slammed my hand under the counter, hard onto the panic button. A piercing alarm shrieked through the store, so loud it rattled the shelves. I expected him to panic, to bolt, or maybe get aggressive, but he didn't. Instead, something far worse happened. His entire demeanor changed, like flipping a switch. He didn't look scared or surprised. He relaxed, dropped the act completely, and then he smiled. Not a nervous grin, not embarrassment. It was calm, amused, like he was in on a joke I wasn't. Then, in one smooth motion, he turned and walked out of the store like nothing had happened. I raced to the monitor, just in time to see him and the crouching figure from behind the car, both of them running. Not toward the road, not toward another vehicle. They disappeared into the forest behind the station. The car they'd supposedly arrived in, still sitting there. Headlights off, doors shut. I locked the front entrance and waited for the police, hands shaking. By the time they arrived, the forest was silent again. No footprints, no tire marks, just mist and trees and an eerie, unnatural stillness. 2 officers checked the car, still no one inside. Then one of them opened the passenger side door and froze. There was a third one, he said quietly. Look, the door had been ajar like someone had slipped out and left it just barely open. 3 of them. Only one came inside. The other 2 had been waiting, watching. For what? I gave my full statement. They reviewed the security footage. Everything matched what I saw the man in red entering the store. The other figure crouched behind the car, and the third, barely visible, exiting the passenger side moments before the alarm triggered. A few days later, I got a call from the local sheriff's office. They'd run the plates. The car had been reported stolen almost a week earlier, over 100 miles away. No missing persons, no claims, no connection to anything. Just a random vehicle left behind in front of a remote gas station in the middle of the night, and 3 people who vanished into the woods without a trace. Needless to say, I quit a few days later. I haven't worked a night shift since. Sometimes late at night, I still think about that smile. The way he looked at me, like he knew exactly what was supposed to happen and was disappointed it didn't. Story 3. Night Watch at Ridgemart. My name's Kara, and up until recently, I worked the graveyard shift at a 24-hour Ridgemart just outside Merrill Ridge, a small town clinging to the edge of the Appalachian foothills. The pay was okay. The shifts were long and lonely, but the store was mostly dead after midnight. I stocked electronics, cleaned displays, answered the occasional zombie-eyed customer asking for batteries or a charger they lost somewhere on the road. Everything felt the same every night. Dull lights, humming air vents, the occasional flicker from one of the overhead fixtures. I called it the fluorescent fog. A dream you couldn't wake from. That night started like any other. It was about 1:45 a.m., and I was organizing the Bluetooth speaker rack when I noticed someone in the next aisle. At first, I thought he was just browsing a random late-night shopper. He looked completely average. Jeans, black hoodie, unshaven. The kind of guy who blends in without trying, but something about the way he moved caught my eye. Every time I looked up, he was closer. Not following directly, just drifting between shelves. Sometimes in the next aisle, sometimes one over, always nearby. He didn't look at products, never picked anything up. He was watching me. I tried to brush it off. Maybe I was just tired. The store is huge. Maybe he was just killing time, right? But after 10 solid minutes of this pattern, him hovering near, always within line of sight, I started getting seriously uncomfortable. I went to radio a manager, pulled it from my belt. Dead batteries. Nothing but static. Perfect. I started debating whether I should go find someone in person when I felt a hand grab my arm. I jumped and nearly screamed until I heard a cheerful voice next to me. There you are. It was a woman. I didn't recognize her. Mid-30s maybe. Blonde ponytail. Bright floral jacket. She smiled wide, like we were old friends reuniting. I froze, confused. Before I could say anything, she leaned in and whispered, fast and low, "That guy's been recording you. Follow me." My heart dropped into my stomach. I turned just slightly to glance behind me, and there he was, still standing near the clearance bin, staring at me. And in his hand, held low near his hip, a phone, camera facing forward. The woman's grip on my arm was firm, not aggressive, but not exactly gentle either. She kept up the cheerful tone, chatting like we were long-lost friends. "I can't believe I ran into you here, she said, a little too loudly. Remember the road trip we talked about? Her voice was bright, rehearsed. Her smile never wavered, but her fingers dug just a little too tight into my arm. I didn't know her, had never seen her before in my life, but I followed her, because back there, behind us, was a man who'd been recording me, and for all I knew, worse. We turned down a quieter aisle, one of the seasonal ones, with dusty Halloween clearance that no one touched anymore. She kept talking, but her words blurred together. Something about a party, a beach, a dumb inside joke she was pretending we shared. I barely heard her. All I could think was, where is he now? Is he following? I tried to glance over my shoulder, but she tugged me forward. Don't look, she whispered through clenched teeth. He's still back there. Just walk. The way she said it, I listened. My skin prickled like I was being watched by something I couldn't see. I kept my head down and moved with her. She led me past the registers, past the front entrance, past the security desk. And then I noticed where we were heading. The warehouse section. Dimly lit. Empty. Beyond it, the side exit, the one without security cameras. My steps started to slow. I looked around, no employees, no customers, just rows of shelves and pallets waiting for the morning shift. My heart started pounding again, a different kind of fear now rising through me. We should find a manager, I said finally, trying to sound casual. I think we're safe now. But she didn't stop. Her grip tightened. No, no, she said, still smiling. He might be circling. Come on, just a little further. My stomach twisted. I pulled slightly against her grip. You can let go now, I said. She didn't. She kept smiling. Kara, she said gently, trust me. And that's when the panic hit, because I had never told her my name. I yanked my arm free hard. Her nails scraped my wrist. Then I ran. I bolted back down the aisle, cutting toward the main section of the store, heart slamming against my ribs. Somewhere behind me, I heard her voice, no longer cheerful. Kara, come back, she called, like a command. Not concern, not fear, control. I didn't stop running until I saw another employee, Alex, one of the overnight stalkers, coming down the frozen foods aisle with a box cutter in hand. His eyes widened when he saw me. What the hell happened? He asked. I could barely speak, out of breath. Call security. Now. There's a guy recording me and some woman tried to drag me to the side exit. Alex didn't ask questions. He turned and ran toward the front. I followed. By the time we got to the security office, the woman was gone. The guy in the black hoodie? Also gone. No trace. Like they'd just melted into the air. We locked the store down. Security called the police. That part was a blur. Statements, questions, trying to remember every detail. But the thing that stuck with me most was what we saw in the security footage. We rewound the cameras. I watched myself stocking shelves, watched the man follow me from aisle to aisle. The footage was clear. He had his phone out, holding it low, recording. Then came the part where the woman appeared bubbly, loud, all smiles, grabbing my arm and pulling me away. But something chilled me to the bone. The footage showed them walking in together. They entered the store side by side. They were working as a team from the start. And yet, the camera never got a good shot of her face. Not once. She turned away from every angle, blocked by shelves, ducking her head, shadows falling perfectly across her features. But the man? Clear as day. Direct eye contact with the camera more than once. That's what made it feel planned. Intentional. Coordinated. The worst part came near the end of the footage. Just before I broke away from her grip and ran, there was a frame, one single frame, where her smile cracked. Her eyes locked onto the nearest camera, and for the first time, I saw something in her expression that made my skin crawl. She wasn't angry. She was curious. Studying, like she was learning how far she could push next time. The cops classified it as a failed abduction attempt. They said I did the right thing by not going with her, that it was good I screamed and found help, that they'd try to identify them both. The man should be easy to track. His face was in the system now. But the woman? She's still out there. They asked me again and again, did she ever use your name? Did you tell her? And all I could say was, yes. She said my name, but I never gave it to her.